Yo, what is up guys? Today we're going to be talking about Fuqiu, who's available currently on the limited banner, and she is a monster in PvE content, especially when you pair her with this one character. Now Fuqiu is super strong because her S3 has this really powerful ability where she goes into Moonlit Veil form, and basically while she has this buff up, every time allies take turns, they get healed and get turn meter pushed. On top of that, this will apply a shield and a max health buff to everyone, which is great. Not a shield and a max health buff, a shield that scales with her max health, and then also she applies a 2-turn speed buff to everyone, which is great as well. The other skills aren't that big of a deal. You know, she has a turn meter push on her S1, which is okay. The main thing is the Brocade passive. When an enemy ends their turn, if she doesn't have Moonlit Veil, she will cycle faster so she can get back into this form, and if she already has it, she reduces her turn meter so she doesn't lose the Moonlit Veil. Her S2 has a random chance to trigger Moonlit Veil on lowest HP allies, not really consistent unless you max it out, which is not really worth it. And she's extremely powerful because 1, you can run her on 0 lattice upgrades, and 2, because of the fact that she will just heal your team and do everything that you want in a sustained character. Now, the character you're going to want to pair her with if you have her is going to be DokiDoki. Now, DokiDoki is an LD SSR, which makes her hard to get, but if you have her, she is by far the best complement to Fuqiu's kit, and if you run them together, you can clear literally all of the Inferno content in the game, and you can even do red bosses where Fuqiu, you might think, will get one shot, but she doesn't if you run her on this shell here, Amber. Now, DokiDoki is super good because you're basically playing around each other's kit. So Fuqiu lacks cleansing, which DokiDoki provides with having this purify in backup, and she also lacks attack buff, which DataStream provides with DokiDoki's kit. On top of that, you are giving even more speed to your team, which makes it so that they will cycle even quicker and keep healing over and over while this Moonlit Veil is up, which is extremely strong and makes your team just do a ton more damage and just cycle very quickly. On top of that, DokiDoki also has her S2, which is the biggest reason why she's so good with Fuqiu. So the way Fuqiu works normally is that you S3, and then after it ends, you're kind of just sitting there for 2 turns trying to get back to your S3 window. But DokiDoki actually can full overwrite on her S2, which will reduce allied animus skill CD by 1 turn, and each time it'll target other allies with the highest total skill cooldown. So this is very good because you're guaranteeing at least 1 will land on Fuqiu because of the fact that she's so slow most of the time after she S3s, and that means like she'll have the highest cooldown usually, so she'll always get hit at least once, sometimes even twice. And this is super strong because by landing this on your Fuqiu, what ends up happening is she will actually end up S3ing right as her S3 is about to end. So on the turn her S3 ends, she can chain into her S3 right after, so she's permanently in Moonlit Veil, which makes her super good with DokiDoki. Fuqiu in her Moonlit Veil makes it so that your team can pretty much never die in any content if she's well built. So because of that, this is going to be the strongest duo in PvE content right now. Also, DokiDoki doesn't need any skill investments, which makes her a super low investment character as well, which is great. And they're both relatively easy to gear. For DokiDoki, for all content outside of Rengo, Inferno Rengo, you will need to run her on Bloodbath, but for everything else, you can run her on Swift Rush Time Weave. And you want Time Weave to reduce the cooldown on your skills, so you can actually keep S2ing and S3ing your team and reducing your Fuqiu's cooldown. For your Fuqiu, all you really need is Wellspring, and then you also want the secondary matrix to be Swift Rush 4 or 8, either or is fine. It doesn't matter if she's a little bit fast because of the fact that you do eventually want her to take her turn at the start of the battle so that she can put up her S3, but also because of the fact that because you have DokiDoki, even if you're slightly fast, your skill cooldown is going to be reset over and over, so you don't really have to worry about being too fast and losing your Moonlit Veil too quickly. So you definitely want her on Wellspring and Swift Rush, and you do want her on 3 HP bonus pieces. I only have her on 2 because I can't get a Wellspring HP bonus piece to drop. I will get one eventually, and for your HP, you want it higher than mine. Just by having 3 HP bonus pieces, you can get her to like 55k health, which is definitely what you want to shoot for. Now for her shell, I mentioned Amber. Amber is going to be only used for Aurora Inferno, which I'm currently farming in the background, but if you actually want to bring her in other content, you're going to put her on Fortissimo if you have it. If not, Supernova is a good option as well. Supernova is very good because it actually gives you extra healing. I actually don't have a Fortissimo, so after the 2x ends, I will have to farm it. I've been running her on Supernova though, and it works just fine. The only problem is that the matrices that I have on mine aren't that great. But if you have Fortissimo readily available, it is by far her best. And then the second best will be Supernova. And of course, in Aurora, you will want to run her on Amber so she doesn't randomly get one shot. So very, very good character. You're going to want to run her on Insight, if you, not Insight, if you can have it. There's the one that gives your team damage. I think it's called Synergy. Yeah. So this is the one that I have, I believe. Basically, when you heal or shield in battle, you will increase the target's final damage. This is the one you need to have, and then everything else you want, like HP and like, you know, just tankiness, right? So Synergy is really good on her because your team is healing every turn. It makes her a very powerful character. Now, what if you don't have DokiDoki? What can you actually run her with? There's another option you can run her with, although it's not as great, but still it's very, very good. And that is going to be, if I can scroll down and get her, it is going to be Red Kazumi Kazuyo. And that is because she also has cooldown reduction on her S3. However, she has the speed buff, which will overlap with Fuqiu. But the thing is, if you make your Red Kazuyo super fast, this speed buff, you can apply it the second time after the first one ends. So it won't be that big of a deal. She also has some utility in her S2 and S1, which is not the best for a lot of content, but her S3 is still very good. People call her the budget lily, but the skill cooldown reduction on this is going to be super good for Fuqiu. So if you don't have DokiDoki, you can slot her in instead of her, and it will be fine. But DokiDoki is going to be the best complement for her. Now, in terms of what comp you want to build around Fuqiu DokiDoki or Fuqiu Kazumi Kazuyo if you're running it, it's pretty much a damage dealer. Whatever works fine. Yelly is the best. Messiah and Dieting are also good options. Rosa and Giada, if you have them, are very good options as well. And there's just a lot of damage dealers you can run with them because they will just keep them alive. It doesn't really matter. Just pick whatever damage dealer will do the most damage for you, and you'll be fine. Now, in terms of supports around them, Kloss is very good, right? She has the speed down, the defense down, and the hack in, all of which will make the enemies do less damage to you and take more damage, which is great. Another good option if you don't have Kloss is going to be Viper, which is going to be what I use in Rengo and Aurora, because attack down and speed down is what he has, and he has this passive, which makes your team take less damage from crits. Attack down and speed down are super good because, you know, Fuqiu and DokiDoki are just mainly buffing your team in terms of survivability, but Viper and Kloss will be actually debuffing the boss in terms of survivability, which makes it very, very good for you. So they're very, very good. You know, if you want to run a 3-man core, you can run like Fuqiu DokiDoki / Red Kazuyo plus Viper / Kloss, and that's going to pretty much make your team never die and just spawn whatever damage dealer after that. So yeah, this is like the god tier combo. You can literally run them in every single Inferno. I'll be showcasing them more on my channel in a lot of content. I probably will even sub out DokiDoki for Red Kazuyo for you guys that don't have her in some videos as well. But I just want to let you know, the current endgame meta that people are running for super hard content that they can't clear is going to be Fuqiu and DokiDoki. Now I'll show you guys my Aurora Inferno run. I'm not going to really commentate on it because it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's very, very safe. It's a 100% win rate. I've done 98 runs now and I haven't failed a single one with this comp, which is pretty crazy if you think about it. So this is the comp that I am using. It's going to be Fuqiu, DokiDoki, Lingluo, Yelly, and Viper. All the stats are on the screen here. The only thing to note about this comp is that DokiDoki will reduce Yelly's cooldown sometimes, so the Revelation won't line up, but not that big of a deal, honestly. And you're going to see that this team basically never dies and is super, super stable. So I'm going to show you the run with basically me not commentating. You can see how strong it is for yourself.